Hello members, let me hope everyone is okay. Welcome back to JIRVINHO Software World YouTube channel. I appreciate all those who have subscribed to the YouTube and those who have shared and commented. I'm Engineer Aaron Kisashe, and today I'm going to talk about software engineering. When I talk about software engineering, the term software engineering is composed of two words. First, we have a word called software and engineering. So, software is more than just a program of codes. A program is an executable code which serves some computational purposes. Software is considered to be a collection of executable programs, codes. So, programming codes associated with libraries and documentations. So, software, when made for specific requirements, is called as software product. Engineering, on the other hand, as you have heard about the software, the word software, now we go to the word engineering. Engineering, on another hand, is all about development of products, software products, using well-defined scientific principles and methods. So we can define software engineering as an engineering branch associated with the development of software products using well-defined scientific principles, methods, and procedures. The outcome of software engineering is an efficient and reliable software product. So, let us also talk about the characteristics of a good software. So, even a good software should have some characteristics to make it good or better. So, a software product can be judged by what it is offering and how well it can be used. This software must satisfy on the following grounds. So, one of the characteristics of a good software should be operational. When I talk about operational, this tells us how well software works on operations. It can be measured on a budget basis, usability, efficient, functionality, and dependability. So, we also have another characteristic which is transition. So, this aspect is important when software is moved from one platform to another. And transition as a characteristic works on grounds of like portability. A good software should be portable, should be interoperational, reusability, and adaptability. So a good software should also be able to be maintained. This aspect briefs about how well a software has the capabilities to maintain itself, the overcharging environment. So, the maintenance characteristics works on grounds like the modality, the maintainability. So, those are some of the characteristics of a good software. So, let us talk about software development life cycle. When I talk about life cycle model, what do I mean? A software life cycle model is also called a process model. This is a descriptive and diagrammatic representation of a software life cycle. A life cycle model represents all the activities to make a software product transist through a life cycle phases. So there are different software life cycle phases where a person can go through to make a good software. So many life cycle models have been proposed for each. Each of them has some advantages and disadvantages. So a few important and commonly used life cycle models are as follows. We have the classical waterfall model, we have the interactive waterfall model, we have the prototyping model, the evolutionary model, we have the spiral model. So, as I talked about the classical model at the beginning, so let me talk briefly about the classical waterfall model. The classical waterfall model is the most obvious way to develop a software. Though the classical waterfall model is obvious, it is not practical. It is not a practical model in the sense that it cannot be used in the actual software development projects. So this classical waterfall model cannot be used practically in the development of a good software. So thus, this model can be considered to be theoretical. So this is a theoretical way of developing software. As you see this diagram of a classical waterfall model, whereby we have different stages under this model. We have the feasibility study, the requirements analysis, the design. We also have the coding, the testing. We have the maintenance. So I will talk one by one process in the classical waterfall model. So the first step was the feasibility study. When I talk about the feasibility study, the main aim of this study is to determine whether the software would be financially or technically feasible to develop the project. So, under this feasibility study, at first, project managers or team leaders or even software developers try to have a rough understanding of what it is required to be done by visiting the client's site. So, a software developer will visit the client and he or she will ask the client the things he or she wants to be implemented in when developing a software for that particular client. So, overall understanding of the problem. So, a software developer will understand the problem which the client wants to solve so that he can implement it into the development of the software. So, based on the analysis, they pick the best solution and determine whether the solution is feasible, or can be financially and technically implemented. They check whether whether the customer's budget would meet the cost of the product, and whether they have sufficient technical expertise in the area of development. So under the feasibility study, a software developer or a manager, a project manager of a certain software would outline whether the project a client wants to make can meet the requirements of either financially or technically. So that is the feasibility study. We had the second stage, which was the requirements analysis and specification. So under the classical waterfall model, we have a stage of whereby a software developer will go through the requirements and the specification. The aim of the requirements analysis and specification phase is to understand the exact requirements of the customer and to document them properly. So, under the requirements analysis, the software developer would understand the exact requirements of the customer. So, he will approach the client or our customer and will ask him or she the requirements he would want to use when implementing a software. So we also add another step, which was the design. So under the design, the goal of the design phase is to transform the requirements specification in the CRR documents. So when I talk about the SRS document, I mean the document where the software developer writes all the necessary requirements of the software he or she is going to develop. So the CRR document into a structure that is suitable for implementation. In some programming languages, so in technical terms, during the design phase, the software architecture is derived from the SRS document. So we also have the coding and unit testing. Under the classical waterfall model, we had a step of testing our software through coding. So the purpose of this phase is to implement the software development by translating the software design into a source code. So when I talk about the source code, this is the process of implementing the requirements a developer got from the client in order to put into the system. So we also add the maintenance step. So any software should be maintained. So maintenance of a typical software product requires much more than the development process. Because according to research, programmers found it out that the ratio of development and maintainability of a software is 40 to 60. That means that you spend much time into maintaining more than the development. And the maintenance process involves the following steps. So when a software developer is maintaining the software or the system, he would require correcting errors, also should implement the system that it can enhance into the upcoming software, such as there are some software components whereby you can develop a system and cannot run on different devices, such as the Linux, the Mac OS. So we have different operating systems which are evolving in the world since we are in a digital world. So software should be maintained so that it can meet the world. So we also have the porting software into a new environment. So when I talk about porting software into new environment, I mean that this software should, let me say that it should tally with the ongoing changes in technology. So like long time ago, people used to make websites using COBOL as a programming language, and now people are using HTML. So we should maintain our software so that it can be compatible to different working environments. So having talked about the classical waterfall model as one of the steps in software development, we shall begin from there onto another type or another model in the life cycle of software development. So I urge everyone to subscribe, share, comment, and like all my videos on this platform. I remain Engineer Aaron Kisashe, a software developer. Stay blessed. Shalom.